The learning target, I can find the y-intercept for the graph of a quadratic function. So what do you need to know? Quadratic function is a polynomial with a degree of 2, and then this is the standard form. So f of x equals ax squared plus bx plus c. That's our standard form of a quadratic function. The graph of a quadratic function is called a parabola. And here we can see some of the characteristics. We have our vertex that we'll look at later, our axis of symmetry, which we'll look at later. But for today, we are going to focus on the y-intercept. And that is the point at which the parabola crosses the y-axis. Here is our y-axis going vertically up and down. So that point where they intersect is my y-intercept. So let's do an example. Finding the y-intercept. Remember that we can find the y-intercept of any function by evaluating the function at x equals 0. When you have your coordinate plane, when I have a parabola that goes through the y-axis, remember that your x value, you're not moving left or right at all. You're at x equals 0 no matter where you are on that y-axis. So we can go ahead and substitute in 0 for x. So 2 times 0 squared plus 4 times 0 equal or minus 1, and that's just going to equal negative 1 in the end. The cool thing about finding the y-intercept is that your x is always 0. Okay, we just talked about the x is always 0, and that means that c in your standard form is always your y-intercept. So when you're in standard form, c is always your y-intercept because when you plug in 0 for x, these terms would just cancel every time. Anytime you multiply 0 by a number, the outcome is always 0. So let's try one more. That would be a great time for you to pause and try this one on your own, and then you can come back and check. Okay, this is the same process. So you might use my little rule that we just talked about and just look at C. That's going to be our answer, but I'm going to show you why. Okay, if I evaluate at 0, because that's where my y-intercept is going to take place, when I simplify, my answer is 5. That is my C, because when I plug in 0, these two terms cancel. So my intercept is at 0, 5. Remember that the value of C is your y-intercept when the function is in standard form. If you need more information on this topic, you can check out the Learning Target spreadsheet for additional resources, videos, and practice.